Hello, and welcome to session 2 of the review unit. Today we're going to be learning about jQuery. You're going to help me read out this objective. 1, 2, 3. Coders will use jQuery to build an interactive website. Vocabulary words are jQuery, event handler, argument, selector, action, input, .val, and append. You should have already completed do now, where you're looking at the reference table. If you don't know how to access the reference table, you should be able to access it through your agenda. And we're going to do that right now. So here is the reference table, right? And the reference table has different sections in it. It has an HTML section and CSS section and a jQuery section, right? So you can scroll through, or you can use Control Find to open up this box, and you can type whatever you want to find in here. So if, let's say, I want to find the .text action, show me wherever the .text action is, or the .css action. So I would know how to use the .css action by looking through the reference table. So it's a really helpful tool. We highly suggest you use this tool to help you as you code. So, what is jQuery, right? So all your projects this year in the fellowship program will be based in JavaScript. jQuery is a JavaScript library, so it allows you to pull in code that's already written and makes it a lot easier and simpler for you to write, common code that you would see in JavaScript. Okay, so it's a really cool tool. In Popcode, it's pretty easy to enable jQuery. Get your jQuery imported into your code so you can use it. We have this libraries button, and then we just click to jQuery. But professional programmers do something a little bit different. They add a line of code, the script, to the head of their code, and that imports jQuery so they can use all the wonderful abilities that jQuery has. So that's what you're going to use when you use Glitch. You're going to have to import jQuery code by copying this line of code into the head. To call jQuery and use jQuery in your JavaScript, you're going to have to use a symbol, the dollar symbol, and that lets the computer know, or lets the program know, hey, I'm using jQuery right now. Just so you know, I'm using jQuery. I'm using this dollar symbol to tell you that. One of the tools that we use in jQuery is an event handler, right? So an event handler is something that triggers an action. So it can be a click, it can be typing, it can be hovering over something, or it can be something that happens in the browser. So it can be when the page loads or somebody scrolls. So these are just events. So in jQuery, we often use selectors, right? So the selector selects the HTML elements, and that coupled with the event can make something happen. So here we have the event click, we have the selector button. So what is your program listening for here? Take a second to think about it. Okay, so this program is listening for the button to get clicked. So the element button, any element on the page called button to get clicked. jQuery actions tell HTML elements that you select what to do. So here we have a selector, in this case image, and we have an action, hide. So these actions can sometimes live inside the event handler, so it'll be a response to an event. So what do you think is happening in this code? So in this case, when a button element gets clicked, image elements will hide. When a button element gets clicked, image elements will hide. Right? So you'll see that button that says hide there, and this giraffe image, it looks like will get hidden once that button is clicked. jQuery actions can also live outside of event handlers. So this action will run when the page loads, and we won't need to wait for an event. So nobody has to click anything. Once the page loads, this code is there and it runs. So in what situations, we're gonna do a quick turn and talk, so you're gonna take some time to think about this. In what situations might you wanna write your action outside of an event handler? How about inside of an event handler? And which do you think you'll use most often? So here we have an example. Let's walk through this example together. Taking a second to load. So we can see something is hidden right here. And the element with the class of board is hidden, right? As soon as the page loads. And if I took this code away, you can see the board is showing up. But since the code is here and the page is loaded, it's hidden. Okay? And this shows that when an element with the class start, this button right here is clicked, then we're going to show that board and hide that button. All right, so these are some of the different examples we talked about. So this is happening when the page loads, and this is happening when an event is triggered, okay? There we go. So that's pretty cool, and that's some of the stuff that you can use jQuery for. So jQuery also has actions that take arguments. So these arguments give additional information to the action so they can do different types of things. One of them is .text, another is .css, and there are many more. So these arguments you can see are in the parentheses. All right, so any guesses to what this code may do? So when any element on the page that's named button or called button is clicked, it will select all elements with the class of my_reply and change the text of those elements to hello, exclamation point. So that the .text method sets the text content of the selected elements, right? So it replaces anything else formerly there with this new argument. What about here? So here we're using the append method. So .append adds HTML to the end of the selected element. It does not replace what's already there. So that's different from .text. .text replaces things. Append adds to the end. So here, when the button element gets clicked, we'll select the response class and append you click the button. Append the text, you click the button. All right, so let's see an example here. All right. So we have the append button and text button. So hello, if I append, click append, this will happen, right? But if I click text, it'll just change it to whatever is there, right? So that's the difference between .text and .append. Okay, here we have a new action. What do you think is happening here? So .css method, the .css method sets one or more style properties for selected elements. All right, so here we have element with the class of change. When that element gets clicked, or those elements get clicked, we'll change the body, the text color of the body to aqua, all right? So here, the first argument would be the property, CSS property. The second argument would be the CSS value, all right? So the property here is color, which changes the text color. Value changes it to aqua, right? All right, what's happening here? All right, so here we have an argument called, or sorry, an action called .val. So here, when the button element is clicked, or any button element is clicked on the page, we'll save the value of the inputs on the page to this variable called message. And then we'll select any elements with the class of comments, and we'll change the HTML to have that message, right? What about here? What would happen here? Okay, so here, anytime anything with the class of submit button gets clicked, we'll save the value of all the inputs or the input on the page to user comments, the variable user comments. We'll select any element with the class of comment section and append user comments or whatever is the value of the input to that section. Okay. So now we're going to have a little practice. Okay. So looks like these divs are having a hard time expressing themselves. We're going to use some jQuery to help them out. Okay. So welcome. These divs are having a hard time expressing themselves. Let's use jQuery to help them out. So task 0. This div doesn't belong here. How can you use jQuery to hide the div immediately when the page loads? Okay. So we're looking at div right here. We'll need to select it. I'll give it a class of I'll give it a class of div 0, and I'll hide it immediately when the page loads using the .hide action. Oh, looks like I made a mistake, right? So I forgot to import the jQuery library. So now that I've imported the jQuery library, you can see that div with example 0 has disappeared, right? If I comment the code out, it's back. But that div isn't invited. Okay. Next one, this div belongs here, but we want to give it a way out. Write the jQuery to hide the div when the button is clicked. Okay. So this is example 1. I see the class button 1 for this button. So I'm going to create an event handler to listen for when that button is clicked, button 1. If you don't know how to write this, you can always use your reference table. And we want to hide this div. All right, so we're going to give this div a name. We're going to call it div 1. And we're to hide it when the button is clicked. Cool, let's see if it works. Uh-oh, something is off. Let's see. What am I doing wrong? Okay. Okay, we're back. That was just a glitch, so now it works. Okay, now on to task 2. This div has something to say. Use jQuery to change the text in example 2 div to welcome to Code Nation Fellowship when example 2 button is clicked. So we have example 2. I'm going to give this example 2 div a class. All right. And when the button 2 buttons gets clicked, that div text should change. So actually, I should not, I don't really need this class right here because I'm actually going to change the text in this div to say something different. So I'll say, Code Nation, welcome to Code Nation Fellowship. Okay. See if it works. And it did. All right. So now you're going to work on your independent practice where you do some more tasks to change some stuff using your jQuery skills. Please feel free to pause this video to do that. Okay, now we're going to work on a project, the Disappearing Ghost project. So you're going to build a mini project to practice and apply your jQuery knowledge. So let's check out this demo. Okay, so we have a button to hide the ghost, show the ghost, update the ghost image. Ooh, you can send a message to the ghost. We can name the ghost. Okay, so we're going to build this using jQuery. Pretty cool, huh? All right, so the first thing you want to do is think about what you notice about this project that you know how to do, what you don't know how to do, how you use your reference table maybe to do all this stuff. You want to make sure that you review the project plan. It's going to be really helpful for you. So I'm opening up the project plan right here for the Disappearing Ghost project. All right, so these are all the specifications for the project related to the different buttons you'll have. And you also have some opportunity to add additional buttons if you finish early and you want to add some more stuff to it. Then your fork the starter code, right? Click here, go to GitHub, fork the starter code, hold it into glitch. You know how to do that. Make sure to review the starter code, review the README, and then use jQuery to complete the project. If you have questions or you need help, make sure you use the reference table, use Google, email a friend or your teacher, And of course, don't forget to submit.